Hello, hello. Welcome back to Life After Plus One. I'm Leanne, your podcast host and your single parent mentor and coach. And as we wrap up 2024, I just want to remind you guys that I do have the coaching sessions available on my website and the ebooks to help you through your journey as a single parent. Now, you might be thinking, well, I don't need this. This is fine. I'm just happy listening to the podcast. No, not everyone does need it. But if you're at a place where you're struggling with your confidence and you need to work on your self-awareness to break through those patterns and those beliefs that have been holding you back and putting you in that situation where you're repeating the same cycles, the same dating patterns, and you're just going through this same cycle over and over again, and you're struggling to find your worth, you're just settling for these people that are just not making you happy, you're miserable, you're not enjoying your life as a single parent, then this is for you. This is the coaching and the ebooks and everything here to help you break through that. From someone that's been through what you have, I've walked in your shoes, I know what it's like. And I'm here to help you get to the other side. So if your goal for 2025 is to have a happier life, to live a more fulfilled life where you start enjoying yourself again, where you are happy to wake up in the morning and not just miserable and thinking, oh, here we go again, then this is for you. Let's get your life back on track where you can start enjoying it again instead of being sad and miserable and lonely. Not that I'm saying you are miserable, but you don't want to live a sad and lonely life. You want to live a fulfilled and happy life. A fulfilled, like that's a tricky word, isn't it? So if that's you, then jump on. All the details are in the show notes. Jump onto my website, lifeafterplus1.com, and let's have a chat and let's get you back on track to living that more fulfilled, happy life. This is for you. So now we're going to dive into today's episode, which is red flags. Now, I have spoken about this before, but I just thought as we come towards the end of the year and people are lonely because they don't have a partner and they just want to have someone with them. They want to be with someone on New Year's Eve. They want to have that last kiss or the first kiss of the year, and they just want someone with them. And you find yourself settling in these relationships or dating patterns with people that are not giving you what you want because you're wanting to have a partner. So what do you do in these situations, and how do you get through this? And how do you know that you are actually seeing red flags and you're ignoring them? How do you know that it's just not you with your guard up? How do we spot these? Let's talk about this because we're going to go into 2025 with a more positive outlook into the dating world to find you that right person.
Welcome to the Life After Plus One podcast, where we turn life's lemons into delightful lemonade. Get ready for inspiring stories, uplifting conversations, and all the tips and tricks to rock your single parent journey with style. I'm your host, Leanne, and it's time to embrace the adventure of Life After Plus One. So let's dive in.
Okay, so let's talk about this. And it's not just red flags that I want to focus on today. It's more so settling for people that you know are not right for you. They're not the right fit. They're not the right match. But they're a nice person, but you're willing to overlook certain factors because you think you're not going to find someone else, or because you think your right person isn't out there. You just try and mold this person into being the right person. Now, one thing we need to remember here when we're in the dating world, well, really in any part of life, we can't change someone else. So if you meet someone and they're not what you're looking for, you can't mold them into your ideal partner. This is who they are. If you're not happy with them as what you're getting and what you're seeing, then they're not for you. They're not your person. Unless you're willing to compromise on these faults or these traits that you don't like, you can't just go in and change someone and expect them to change because it's not what you want. If it's not what you want, then you need to find someone that is. And that happens a lot. People meet someone and They want to give it a go so much that they're determined to make it work, even at the expense of their happiness. They will do anything and everything to make a relationship work, even though deep down they know it's not the right person, because they feel like they need to give it a go. They got to give it 100%, which is great. It's a great attitude to have, because when you're meeting someone, you don't just want to give up, because sadly, due to the world of social media and online dating, it has become such a convenience world, or world of convenience, where if you're not at someone's needs or you're not giving them what they want straight off the bat, then next we'll go to the next person. So it is great to go into the dating world and give it 100% and to put in as much effort as you can to make it work. But you don't want to overdo it. You don't want to do it to the point where you know they're not the right person for you. You know you're clashing. You know there's a few things that make you uncomfortable. You know there's a few things in there, that's happening. That's just not right. But you're still giving it a go. This is why you need to remember you are not going to be everybody's perfect match. And I feel like some people try to be everyone's perfect match in fear of not finding their perfect match, in fear of staying single, in fear of not finding their partner. Now, the best thing you can do when you're feeling like this is just to learn to accept that single life isn't bad. It's not a bad thing if you don't have a partner. It's not a bad thing if it's taking a little bit longer than expected. It's not a bad thing if you have to go through some toads before you find your Prince Charming or princess or whatever it is. Are they the wrong words these days? I don't know. I feel like you got to walk on eggshells when you're referring to people and things these days. But it's okay to accept that. There is nothing wrong with you. You don't have faults. You're not a bad person. You're not someone that's going to be unloved and never loved because you're not in a relationship at the moment. It doesn't make you less than. And you really need to know that when you're going into the dating world, because if you're out there dating someone or looking to date someone and you're thinking this about yourself, you're thinking you're not good enough, you're thinking you're never going to find your partner, you're thinking you're just going to be single forever, then all of a sudden you start chatting to someone, you do what you can to make it work, because deep down in the back of your head, you're thinking, I've got to make this work because I don't want to stay single. I've got to make this work because otherwise if they're not the one, when will I find the one? How long am I going to be single after that? I don't want to keep being single, so I've got to make this work. This is how you fall into the trap of those dating patterns that just keep taking you down that same cycle where you end up being heartbroken because you're settling for people that are not aligned with what you're after because you're so concerned about being single. You're so worried about what other people might think, or you're so worried about living alone financially, or you're so worried about 10, 20 years down the track and you're being close to retirement age and you still don't have a partner. Now, you can't put so much pressure on yourself. And that's the thing. Everyone puts so much pressure on themselves when it comes to dating. And if they don't find their person, they straight up think that there's something wrong with them. And there's not. You just haven't found the right one. There's nothing wrong with anyone. I do believe there is someone out there for everyone. And your person is out there. But you're never going to find this person if you're wasting time with the wrong person. Stop putting energy into trying to make relationships work when you know deep down it's not right. If you're in a situation where you have to be secretive about certain things, maybe you haven't introduced them to your family, maybe you're hiding your financial situation, you don't want them to know how much money you have, or you don't want them to know how much money you don't have, or there's things about your life that you're not fully opening up to them about. Maybe you haven't even told them that you have kids and you don't want them to know that yet. Then why are you with someone where you've got to be so secretive, where you can't be open and honest, you can't be vulnerable, you can't share your true story? Because that's what you want in a partner. You don't want to go into a relationship lying to someone or being secretive. Now, I'm not saying you need to go in and meet someone and straight off the bat just spill out your whole life story to them in the first date. No. Gradually, as you see this person and as you talk to them more, you start sharing more about your life. Now, that doesn't mean you need to intentionally keep things a secret. So the idea is, when you're going into the dating world as a single parent, we don't want to be going into relationships for all the wrong reasons, which is because you're bored, or because you're sick of being alone, or because you're hurt from your ex and you're still sad and you're upset and you're thinking finding a new partner will make that all better for you. It won't. I mean, it may, it will, but you're still going to have that hurt there. It's still there. You're not just all of a sudden going to meet someone, then boom, everything's gone. I mean, yes, it may help you forget about it, but bringing a new person in your life is not going to fix your problems, especially when it's at a time when you're still really hurt from your ex. And when you're dating in this period, that's usually a time when you find people, or when you date people, and when you settle for people that are not right for you because you're so hurt. And quite often when you're in that headspace, when you've just broken up with someone and you're hurt and upset, and that last relationship didn't end well and you didn't get what you needed from that relationship, then all of a sudden you go out and you meet someone new. And they're all sweet and innocent and they give you what you want. They love bomb you. They tell you how amazing you are. But then there's sides of them that you don't like. But because they're so sweet and nice to your face, you're ignoring everything else because you never got these sweet, kind words in this last relationship. You're just so attracted to this side that you're ignoring the other side of them. So this is what I'm getting at. When you've broken up with someone and you're still so hurt, you quite often settle for people that you know you shouldn't be because they're giving you one part of what you need. They're giving you something that you never got in that previous relationship, and you're just craving that attention. You're craving to feel loved. You're craving to feel wanted, and this person's giving it to you, but they're not giving you everything else. They might be meaning that there's a whole lot of other things happening in the relationship that you don't like. Maybe they're chatting to other women or other men. Maybe you can tell they're not being honest. Maybe you can tell they're being secretive, but you're ignoring that because they're very sweet and they're nice to your face and they're giving you that attention. And you're like, oh, I can't leave them because they're giving me all this. No, they're a really nice person. But a really nice person would be a nice person all over, not just in small doses. And this is what I'm getting at about ignoring those red flags, because you're so in need of wanting someone to fill that void that last partner didn't fill. You're wanting that acceptance. You're wanting to feel loved by somebody, because that's what we all want, isn't it? We all want to feel loved by somebody. We all want to feel accepted. We all just want someone to love us the way we're willing to love them. And when you're dating and you're not in the right headspace and you're not mentally and emotionally ready, you will settle for people, or you will ignore certain factors that you're looking for in a person because they're giving you that small bit of something that you might want, which is what they show you how amazing you are. They might say sweet, kind words to you, but they might be doing something completely off that, hold on, this isn't right. But yet they're saying this to me, so it must be good. And this goes back to what I was just saying earlier. How do you know if it is a red flag, or if you're just being overcautious from your last relationship? You've been hurt and you're just being overcautious and you just don't want to get hurt again. So you're just trying to be nice, not to start any fights. You're trying to keep the peace. But more often than not, when you're doing that, you're doing it at your expense. You're keeping the peace and you're trying to avoid bringing things up in fear of it starting an argument or a disagreement. But it's only going to build up inside you, and you're going to get more angry and frustrated because all these things are happening that you're not liking. But you're biting your tongue because you don't want to fight. You're biting your tongue because you're worried about how they're going to react. You're biting your tongue because you don't want to end up being single again. These are situations where you're ignoring red flags. If you're with a partner or you're dating someone and you're fearful to speak to them, you can't even have an open and honest conversation about how you're feeling about the relationship or how you're feeling about something that's happened, then is this really the right person for you? Because the right person wouldn't make you feel shit or wouldn't make you feel less than for wanting to discuss how you feel about or wanting to discuss about something that's happened within the relationship. A healthy partner for you is someone that's open to listening to where you're at. Now, in saying that, it does come down to a bit of give and take because, yes, you want a partner that's willing to listen to you and take on board your feedback with what you're worried about. But if you're going into a relationship where you're just overprotective and over worried about everything because you've been burnt from your past relationship, then you're bringing your past insecurities into this new one. And this again is another reason why you need to step back and really focus on you and not just jump from relationship to relationship. Because if you've been burnt and really heartbroken from your previous relationship and you haven't reflected on what's happened and you're just going into another relationship, you're going to take those triggers and those things that hurt you into that next relationship. And you don't want to hold that over that person's head. You don't want to go into a new relationship not trusting this new person because you weren't able to trust the last person you're with because maybe they cheated on you. Maybe they were secretive. Maybe they were hiding things from you. And there were things that happened that made you feel like you couldn't trust them. And you've just jumped into this new relationship with these same patterns because you haven't learnt to trust again. You haven't let go of these insecurities from this last relationship. So that's the difference between working out, is it a red flag or is it you and your boundaries or is it you and your insecurities? Have you not learnt to let go of things from the past and accept, okay, that's what happened, but this is not the same person? So this goes back to why I harp on so much about the importance of not rushing into a new relationship. People say, yeah, it's fine, it's going to make me feel better. Or if that's what makes me get over my ex, then why shouldn't I date someone else? I mean, hey, if it works for you, go do it. For me, I don't recommend it. But if that's what you want to do to get over your ex, then you do it. But if you're doing this and you're going down the same patterns, then that's why. If you're doing this and you're taking out all these fears and insecurities from relationships that you've been through in the past, then that's why. Because you're jumping too quickly into relationships without taking time to step back and work on what you want and what you don't want. What's upsetting you in relationships? What are things that you're not willing to settle on? What are things that are red flags that you're like, nope, that's not okay, I'm out. And you can't spot these things when you're just going from relationship to relationship to relationship because you're not reflecting on anything. You're not looking back and going, okay, that happened in that last relationship. Maybe I shouldn't have reacted that way. Maybe I did get a little overboard. Maybe I shouldn't have gone upset. Maybe it could have been handled in a very different way. But hey, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe it was all this other person that did do stuff towards you, and that has affected your trust levels. That has affected you opening up to other people. That has affected you being open and honest. And that's why when you've just broken up from someone, it's not the best thing to jump straight into another relationship because you don't know what you want. Or you know that what you want when you're going straight into another relationship is you want to feel loved. You want to feel loved. You want a person that's just going to be there for you. And so you see someone, you start chatting, and they're giving you some of what you want, and it seems good, so you're just going to keep making it work. When you know deep down, it's not the right one. But you haven't taken that time to actually look at what you want in that right one. You haven't actually taken time to look at what can you maybe do differently. You haven't taken time to look at, maybe I should look for someone that does something a little differently. Maybe I shouldn't overlook this. Maybe I should learn to speak up for myself. Maybe I should learn to just not go, oh, that's okay, I'll let it slide. Maybe I should learn to not bite my tongue and end up being upset and miserable with people because I'm not speaking up. So this is all really a combination of everything. It's all a combination of knowing how to spot those red flags. It's all a combination of knowing how to set boundaries. It's all a combination of knowing when to step back and reflect on what you can do differently in your next relationship. And that's not saying that you necessarily did something wrong in the relationship. Maybe it's because you didn't speak up. Maybe it's because you didn't put your foot down. Maybe it's because you didn't say, no, I'm not happy with that. So then from that, you can learn, okay, I need to learn to set boundaries. I need to learn that if something's happening that I don't like, I need to actually talk about it. And you don't necessarily have to walk away from a relationship if it's something that you don't like, but you can talk about it and you can compromise on things. And then that's also where you've got to work out, is this something you don't like because it's a trigger? They're triggering something in you that you saw in your previous partner. And is this something you can learn to work on in yourself? Is this something you can learn to get over? There are so many aspects that come up in all this dating world, and it brings up all these emotions that people don't realize. And there's a lot of different sides of this. It's so easy to get caught up in, okay, that one's done. Next, let's go on to the next person. Okay, that didn't work. Next, let's go on to the next person. And it's like a game of potluck, just eventually hoping that the right person will come along. Instead of actually being proactive and doing anything to ensure that the right person will come along, or do anything to better yourself so you're a better version of yourself and you know how to handle situations. So instead of meeting someone and they might just talk to a female colleague or a colleague of the opposite sex, and you might get triggered by that, and instead of getting all snippy and nasty at them saying, who the fuck was that? Who were you talking to? You might instead respond by saying, oh, she seems lovely, or they seem really nice. Who are they? So there really is a lot of different aspects to it when it comes to the world of dating. And it's not just about meeting someone new. Because yes, we all have friends in life. But even as adults, we don't necessarily always have the same friends. Our friend group quite often changes. And same with partners. And if you're not taking time to step back and reflect on yourself to see what you can do differently, then nothing in your life is going to change. It's like when you go to work, and if you're just got no goals for career progression, you've got no goals for wanting to ever change your career, you've got no goals for wanting to do anything different, then you're just going to go to work and do the same thing day in, day out. Nothing's going to change. And you probably have very little job satisfaction because you're just in it for the money. You're there day in, day out. But if you're in a job or a business or a career where you're looking to be a next level up, you're looking for career progression, you're looking to build your business, you're looking to grow, then you're constantly doing things to look at yourself and go, okay, what can I do differently? How can I be a better person? How can I be a better employee? How can I be a better business owner? You're looking at doing things, whether it be studying, whether it be learning more about your industry, learning how to deal with people. You're learning to be a better person so you can grow in your work life. This also applies to your personal life. If you want to grow as a person and have better relationships, not just with an intimate partner, but with friendships, then you need to look at yourself and look at what you can do to better who you are. Because when you get caught up in this bubble of just going in this same dating cycle, hoping for the best, your little game of potluck, you quite often settle for these people and start chatting to them just because they're chatting to you. Now, it's very common to get caught up in this phase where someone messages you and you might look at them, or you might look at their profile or their picture and think, it's not someone who I'd really go for, but hey, they messaged me and they started chatting, they seem lovely, so let's keep it going. And then you just keep going. But then part of you still knows it's not someone that you're looking for, but hey, they're chatting to me. I'm going to keep making it work. They asked me out a date, so hey, they must like me. Just because they've asked you out on a date or they started chatting to you doesn't mean they're going to be right for you. Because as I always say, you're not everyone's match, and that's okay. And you can't force people and mold people to be your match. That's the person they are. And the only way someone will change is if someone sees something in themselves that they don't like and they personally want to change for themselves. You can't go up to someone and say, I don't like this about you, you need to stop that. Or I don't like the way you do that, you need to change that. People will change when they are ready to change. People will grow when they are ready to grow. But you can't go into the dating world and just meet people and hope for the best and expect them to change to suit you. And you can't go into the dating world just because you don't want to be single. I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to have a partner. We all want to settle down with someone. But if your only intention in dating is just because you don't want to be single, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, that is the real reason for everyone, isn't it? We just want to have a partner. But there's more to it. You want to have a partner because you want connection. You want to have a partner because you want a fulfilling relationship. You want someone you can share experiences with. You want someone that has similar interests that you can travel together and do things together with. Not just someone because you just want to sit at home on a Saturday night and someone who can watch Netflix with you and sit down and have a few drinks with you. It's more to it, because when you're going into the dating world for all the wrong reasons, you settle for the wrong people because you're just hoping for the best because you don't want to be single. Stop settling for people in fear of not finding the right person. So as we wrap up 2024 and we're heading into a new year, and maybe you had one of your goals this year was to meet a new partner and it hasn't happened. It's not the end of the world. It's okay. And I don't want you to go into 2025 thinking, I can't believe it, I'm single. And I don't want you to be sad and miserable because you are single. I want you to use this time to reflect on what you're looking for in a partner. I want you to go into 2025 knowing exactly what you want. And the thing is, when you learn to have standards, when you learn to have boundaries, your dating pool becomes a lot smaller. And it's a hard pill to swallow. I'll never forget, because those of you who've been listening from the beginning know that I've been single parenting for 10 years. And when I first started dating, I was getting dates. And I'm not trying to, tap myself on the shoulder here and put tabs on myself like I'm some amazing person. But I was getting dates all the time. And it was so easy to get a date. The more you work on yourself, the more you really look at what you want, the more you don't just settle for anyone for all the wrong reasons, the less you date, because you're not just settling for anyone because you're fearful of being single. You're not settling for anyone because you're fearful of not being loved. You learn as you start putting yourself as a priority that you don't just settle for any person just because they're messaging you. It's okay to respond to a person and say, thanks for the message, but I don't think we're a match, or I don't think we're aligned. You can say it however you want to say it. You don't have to feel like you need to go on a date with everyone, or you don't have to respond to everyone if they don't feel right for you. And that is a very overwhelming thing to realize. You learn in yourself. The more you work on yourself and the more you value yourself and the more you know what you want in someone, the less you date. And it's, like I said, it's very overwhelming. It's like, whoa, what's just happened? It's because you don't want to just date anyone and everyone. You don't need to date just anyone and everyone. You want to date the right person. You know that your time is limited. You don't have just every night available because you're a single parent. You've got your kids. You can't just go off willy-nilly and go on dates with anyone and everyone because they're just asking you. Your time is precious and you're only willing to give that up for people that you feel are going to add value to your life, not just Joe down the street who feels horny on a Saturday night. Now, I'm not just saying it's Joe. It could be Jane as well. But you don't want to just settle for anyone. You have some self-respect. You have value. Now, don't get me wrong. Not judging people that do want to have a bit of fun on a Saturday night. That's your choice. But if you're looking for a quality relationship, if you're looking for someone to settle down with, then you're not going to get it just by having a bit of fun on Saturday night. That's not how you go about it. But it is extremely eye-opening to realize the dating world gets very different when your needs change, when your expectations change, when your values change, when you learn to put boundaries in place, and when you learn not to ignore the red flags. It is a totally different world. And it's okay. It's not a bad thing. But you know that you don't need to settle. You know that it's okay to be single, because being single and happy is far more important than being in a relationship where you end up unhappy. So use this time while you're single to enjoy it. Use this time while you're single to be happy. So you're not just settling on these wrong relationships where you end up being unhappy. You can use this time whilst you're single to really work on you, to really work on what you want. So your chances of ending up unhappy are massively reduced because you're not just settling for these people that are not giving you what you want. No, I don't mean giving you physically. I mean giving you what you want in a relationship, emotionally, mentally, what you need in a partner. And this all comes down to not ignoring those red flags. It all comes down to knowing how to set your boundaries. And it's a big thing to know that when you're setting boundaries is not just about being rude and saying how it is. Setting boundaries is just about telling someone what you're not comfortable with. You don't have to be mean and nasty to have boundaries. And I think that line is being blurred a little too often these days, where people are thinking that they can just tell it how it is as a way of having boundaries. No, having boundaries, you can still be kind, you can still be friendly, you can still be polite. No, thank you, that's not for me. I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to decline. You can have boundaries in that way. You don't have to be rude. So don't blur those lines. Don't cross them over and get confused with kindness and boundaries, because you can have both of them together. You should have both of them together. And don't forget that you don't want to just go into a new relationship and have all these insecurities from your past that are still building up inside you. They're still floating around in your head. Or maybe I'm not good enough. Because it's quite common for people to get into relationships and they're scared. They're scared of this person leaving them. They're scared of being single again. They're scared of having to go through that same dating pattern again. That's not a healthy dating cycle. Good chance will only end up seeing you heartbroken because you're clenching onto this relationship for all the wrong reasons. You're not holding onto it because you really value this person. You're holding onto it because you're scared of being alone. You don't want to be scared of being alone. You want to accept where you are. You want to learn to use this time to have fun with your kids. You want to learn to use this time to have fun with your friends and with your family and get out and make new friends. And accept it's okay. It's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's not a scary thing. And I'm not saying by any means that you should stay single. But once you're comfortable with being single, it's a lot easier to not fall for people that are not what you want. It's a lot easier just to not settle in relationships and not settle for partners because you don't want to go down that path of being single again. Because when you are happy being single, it's okay. It's not a big deal. You're not scared by it. You're not scared to ignore the red flags and go, oh no, I don't want to say that because I'm going to be single or I'm going to end up unhappy. No, you won't end up unhappy if that relationship doesn't work, because you know you'll be fine with or without them. You can make your life work. You've been single parenting. You can do it on your own. You learn to become independent. You learn to be comfortable on your own. So you're not just jumping into a new relationship for that same reason I've been discussing throughout this whole episode, which is because you're fearful of being alone. And then when you get into this relationship, you hold on to it with everything that you can because you're fearful that they're going to leave you. This is all the wrong reasons to get into the dating world, and this is all the wrong things to be doing when you're in the dating world. So please, when you are out there looking for your partner, when you're going into 2025 and one of your New Year's resolutions is to find the love of your life, you're not going to find them if you keep settling. You're not going to find them just because you don't want to be single. So you're just clenching on to anyone that comes to you first and hoping that's going to work. And you do what you can to make it work. You do what you can to keep them. You buy them gifts. You do anything and everything you can for them just to keep them in the relationship. Now, it's nice to do things for your partner. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you don't want to do that with just the intentions of making them stay with you. So this new year coming up is all about you and not ignoring the red flags. So many people do it. They go into these relationships and their gut tells them this isn't right. I'm not comfortable, but I will let it slide. Then a few months down the track, you end up heartbroken and then you wonder why. So please, this New Year's, I want you to really focus on what you want in a partner. I want you to really focus on enjoying your time being single. It is okay. There is nothing to be ashamed of. There is nothing to be embarrassed of. It is not frowned upon. I have never, ever been ashamed or embarrassed or fazed by the fact that I'm single. I think I've been single parenting for so long now that people just forget. I've had people tell me on a number of times that I just forget you're a single parent because you do so much with your daughter. You're always out. You're like a family with how much you're always out and about. And it's just me and her. And I love that. So use this time to your advantage. And remember, we only get this time with our kids once. Don't rush this quality time we have with our kids just to fill it with a new partner that may not even last. And remember, when we're in this situation, we are co-parenting. So a large portion of us who are listening don't even have our kids all the time. Some people do have full care. They have 100% care. Majority of the people don't. Some have 50-50, some have 75-25. And you don't want to throw away that small time that you do have with your kids because we don't get to see them every day anymore. So when we are with them, this is our time to make the most of that quality time with them before they rush off to the other parents again. Don't fill that time we have that we can't replace with a new partner who may not even last, who may not even be the right one for you, but you're just keeping them around just in case it works, hoping that it works. Your kids come first. Use this time with them. Have fun with them and make the most of that time when they're with the other parent. So please remember, when you're going into the dating world, it's not about just dating someone because they're talking to you. It's not about just dating someone because they can whisper a few sweet words in your ear and you think they're the most amazing person ever. But deep down, you see all these other things that they're doing that you don't like. Don't ignore those red flags. And if you're not sure if it's a red flag or just one of your insecurities from a previous relationship, then bring it up to them. Talk to them about it. Say, hey, I noticed you did this. I don't really feel comfortable with it. Find a way to talk about it. And remember, if you're scared to talk to a partner, then why are you with them? We are all grown adults. There is no reason why we cannot have another adult conversation or an adult conversation with another adult. You want a partner that you can have these good conversations with. So make sure you know what you want in a partner. Make sure you're not just settling for someone because you don't want to be alone. Make sure you're not settling for someone just because your ex has a new partner. Make sure you're not settling for someone because you just want to feel loved and feel accepted. Because the idea of a new partner is not just to stroke your ego. You don't want a new partner just to make you tell you how amazing you are and tell you you're the best thing since sliced bread. I mean, it is nice to have that, but there's more to it than that. They're not there just to make you feel good. You need to feel good in yourself, and they will make you feel even better. Okay, so to wrap it up, I want you to really remember when you're in the dating world, focus on why you are staying with this person. If something's not right, listen to your gut. Don't just go, oh no, it's just me, I'm just being silly. And if you're not sure, talk about it. And don't ignore your boundaries. Don't ignore it. If there's something specific that you're willing to not accept in a relationship, but you're overlooking it, why? Because there's a good chance you're going to end up getting heartbroken when you overlook certain things. We've all been there. We've all been in these relationships where we overlook it. Oh, they're a nice person though. They do this. I don't like this about them, but hey, they're a nice person. You end up butting heads. You end up resenting someone when you go into a relationship like that, when there's so many things about them that you don't like. But you think, they're a nice person, I'll let it slide. All of us are a nice person in some way, shape or form. But doesn't mean we're all going to be perfectly aligned with everyone else. So stop settling for people for all the wrong reasons. Stop trying to mold people into your perfect partner. And stop settling for people in fear of not finding the right person. Because the more time you waste on the wrong person, the harder it's going to be for you to find the right person. It's taking time away from that. Stop giving energy to the people that are not fulfilling your life. If you want fulfilling relationships, then stop settling. Stop ignoring those red flags. Stop giving in fear of the wrong reasons, in fear of being single. Learn to love your single life. Learn to love where you're at. And it just makes it so much easier to not settle for people that are not aligned with what you want. Let's go into 2025 with the right intentions when we're dating. Let's go into 2025 knowing what we're wanting in a partner and knowing how to not settle, knowing how to not ignore those red flags, because your right person is out there. But when you keep settling for the wrong people, you're not going to find that right person. When you keep ignoring those red flags, only delaying the opportunity for you to meet the right person. So let's know what we want and let's do what we can to find the right person for all the right reasons. And if you do want to chat further, I am here to break through these barriers with you, because it can get hard to get through these insecurities. It can get hard to get through these things that triggered us from the past. It can get hard to get through the battle of knowing your self-worth, to get your confidence back up, to be able to get through these things. Because when you're in a place when you're not confident enough in yourself, you don't have the confidence to actually ignore those red flags. You don't have the confidence to set those boundaries. You don't have the confidence in yourself to know that you're worth more. So if you are at that place, let's chat. Let's get you through this. As someone that's been in your shoes and know what it's like, let's get you to the other side and get you through this. Because I guarantee you now, it is worth it and you will get there. But sometimes we just need someone to hold our hands to get us through it. And that's what I'm here for. So thank you again, everyone. And I hope you all loving the show, and I hope you all got something from this episode. And if you have any single parent friends, then feel free to share the show with them. And if you're loving it, you know what I say, then throw out a review and give me a rating, because I'd love to hear from you and see what you're all thinking of the show. And don't forget, if you have any questions, any feedback, anything you want to hear spoken about on the show, if you have any questions or queries about your own personal situation, then I'd love to hear from you. Jump onto my Instagram page at LifeAfterPlus1 or my website, lifeafterplus1.com. That's about it for me. Thank you all, and I love you all for coming back week after week. And until next time, I'll be in your ears then.
Thank you for joining us on the Life After Plus One podcast. If you loved what you heard today and looking for some further support, then jump onto our website, lifeafterplus1.com. Plus, don't forget to check out our Instagram page for further resources and inspo. You can find all the links in the show notes. And remember, you're not alone on this path. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And in the meantime, keep thriving, keep growing, and keep exploring your amazing life after +1.